Okay, we're going live.
Can I do the karate moves when we're live or not? I just love getting Heather going.
We are live.
Okay, we are live. It's Saturday night. No, it's Monday night, and nobody really likes Mondays. I think Garfield might like Mondays. No, Garfield didn't like Mondays either. Well, ladies and gentlemen of Turner Valley, we are joined here tonight, May 3rd. This is our regular business meeting. Just so everyone knows, we're going to reconvene here at 6:30 on the nose. We started our meeting today at 5 after 5 with an in-camera session. Under FOIP was advice from officials. So we are now going to...
that we did have an addition to the agenda.
Oh, and we had an addition to the agenda, 15.65, sorry, and that's a request for funds for the oil fields grad students, which in the years of COVID, of course, grads are always very interesting, so we wish them the best of luck. Now, moving on, we have an adopted agenda. I'm just loading it up here. First item up for business, Councillor Gordon, seeing as you got a computer in front of you. Mine's still loading. Adoption of minutes.
Number 6, adoption of minutes.
Adoption of minutes. Can I get a motion for the adoption of minutes? And Rab, I see a raised eyebrow. Is that right? Was that
There's a hand up now.
There it is. All right. That's the adoption of the previous minutes. Any questions on that? Seeing none, Councillor Gordon, or sorry, Deputy Mayor Gordon. Deputy Mayor Gordon is now in play until the end of our session in October. So he is here in chambers with me. He'll be viewing one screen while I scroll as much as I can to see if anyone wants to talk. So give us a little patience and keep your hands up, and he'll help me indicate anyone wanting to talk. And seeing none, all in favor of adoption of minutes, raise those hands nice and high. Perfect. Thank you. That is carried.
Question period.
Excellent. We have question period. Question period is the 15-minute section of every council meeting that we have. It's a chance for the public to ask questions of administration for clarity or council for anything that they might want to debate or find some information on. So we have the email, phone calls, where you can visit us in chambers when it's not COVID, but we can't have that option right now, or in writing. And Mr. Patience, our CIO, have we received any communications for question period from the public?
No, we have not, Mr. Mayor.
All right, so seeing none, we will move on. And now I finally got my computer, came back to me. Number 8 is statutory hearings. We have none. And 9 is delegations. And we do have some delegations. Have we got the delegation in attendance and ready?
There's a phone number.
I saw a phone number come in. So this is for the Turner Valley Rcmp. There's 2 delegations, actually. One is to speak to the capture program for Turner Valley in the foothills area. And the other one is to speak of the new funding model and distribution model that Rcmp are presently housing. So, Sergeant Akitt, do we have you on the phone today? Or are you?
Yeah, Mayor, can you hear me?
Hey, we can. Perfect.
Excellent. Yes, I realized I didn't have the teleslink for my laptop at home, so you're stuck with only my voice today.
Well, it works perfect, and we can hear you absolutely clear, so that's good.
Excellent. And I'm just wondering if Inspector Shardlow is on the line by chance.
Let's see if he made it. He might not, because you're on there, but he might be on there too. You're at, yeah, you know what? If he hops on after, that's fine. We can roll on yours right now if you're comfortable with that. And if he doesn't come on, you can just keep rolling and take his job over.
Oh, I don't know that I want all of those responsibilities yet. But,
oh, you want retirement package of an inspector, don't you?
Well, possibly. You never know, right? I mean, we'd have to bug in a little bit. But thank you, Mayor and Council, for letting me speak here with you for a little bit this evening. I know part of our presentation was going to be just an overview of where we're at with the Foothills County pilot project. And Inspector Shardlow is going to speak further about that. So if he does or is able to jump on the line here after I kind of go through my stuff, I'll be happy for him to do so. Otherwise, I can touch on it a little bit on his behalf. So either way, we'll get you the information tonight. So to start it all off, I don't have a lot of information, but I have been working on some new things. So I know, and everyone in council there would have received probably the Reader's Digest version of the survey that I sent out again this fiscal year in relation to looking at policing priorities or objectives from the community and from the residents. I'm happy to say that response to the survey this year was up from last year. I think we had 203 respondents this year, with a really good mix from the Foothills County as well as the town of Turner Valley and Longview. So that was extremely encouraging. And I think overall the response or the communication format of this is starting to pick up speed within the area, which is wonderful. Now, of course, I mean, if we ever get past our COVID reality, I would love to be holding town hall meetings, and that is still my goal, hopefully for next year, or maybe even by the end of this fiscal year, just to have that further communication and direct interaction with the community. So basically from the survey this year, and I've looked at the responses, and I think the three main policing priorities for this fiscal year that I'm going to be looking at can be broken down into property crime being number one. There is still a concern as well as a need to continue to work through our theft scenarios, and a lot of those are either theft of vehicles, theft under 5,000, or theft from sheds, property, those types of scenarios. Now, I know that one of the objectives that is near and dear to your heart, Mayor, and that I'm happy to say that I'm going to be using to help work through the property crime priority is the capture program. I'm extremely pleased to say that our capture program is up and running. The mapping is all in place, and we're reaching out through social media. I know I did a presentation to the local radio station out of High River in relation to getting the word out now in the capture program. So it is, like I say, it is up and running. The website is live, and now it's just a matter of every avenue we can think of to get the word out to the general public to take advantage of that priority, or of that program, really. So that'll be one area within the priority of property crime that I think is going to have a huge impact for us. And like I've always said, multiple eyes and video are always more than we as the Rcmp members can ever hope for. We can't be in every location all of the time. So having that quick access and the knowledge of where the video and everything is within the complete Foothills County is going to be extremely beneficial for us moving forward when we start to tackle the property theft this fiscal year. We're also working extremely closely, and have been last year and will continue to do so, with our crime reduction unit, which is a specialized unit that is based out of Southern Alberta District. And I can say that they have been extremely helpful with their analysts and everything in keeping us in tune more on a global basis. So we all know that property crime, and that is not unique to the Foothills County or to the town of Turner Valley. And the crime reduction unit is able to pull all the data together and give us indications on hotspots, or even targeted, I'll call them criminals, but targeted suspects or people of interest that we're tracking in relation to ongoing investigations. So we're going to continue to work extremely closely with the crime reduction unit, and I think that'll also be extremely helpful as we move forward this year in relation to combating property crime. From the survey, the other area that was quickly brought to the forefront for us was traffic. We all know that with COVID and not being able to socialize and not being able to leave the province, that traffic has increased because, let's face it, the Turner Valley area is a beautiful area and everybody likes to come out our way and utilize our roadways. So another initiative that we're going to be working on is targeted traffic enforcement. So all of the busier highways, I mean, of course, Highway 2, but Highway 22, Sheep River Road, Plummer Road, Highway 7, all of those areas that come into our area. Within that traffic enforcement, I know from the survey there is concern with increased motorcycle use, increased cyclist use of the roadways, and that was something that we were aware of last year, but continues to be a concern within our area. So we will be doing targeted enforcement of those areas throughout the summer. And we're also working on enhancing our relationship and/or our partnership with the Foothills Peace Officers or CPOs, and we're going to be doing some targeted joint enforcement with them. So really utilizing their resources as well in our area to enhance that traffic coverage. The last area that we're looking at for our annual performance plan this year that came up from the survey is police visibility or police presence. And when I looked at that, I know that through the pilot project and everything, all of the indications that we were getting is that there was an increase in police presence, or people in the community were seeing our police vehicles out on the roadways more. Now, I look at the police visibility and or presence highlight from the survey, and I personally wonder if a lot of that is because of COVID and our inabilities really to get and do a lot of the public relation type activities that we like to do and which we normally would do. Then that would be engaging with the schools or engaging with other social groups or client groups and giving those presentations and stuff like that. Is definitely powerful for our visibility, as well as that sense of presence and connection with the community. And I know for myself that one thing that I've really realized or highlighted on in this last year is that one of the biggest things that I've realized with COVID is that I wasn't able to engage with the community in the manner in which I wanted to. I wasn't able to hold the town hall meetings and have that personal, I'll call it a one-on-one type conversation with individuals. So when I looked at that, I wanted to come up, pardon me, with ideas or ways that I could bridge that gap. And one of the areas that I've recently been working on is kind of a weekly publication that I have now started, and that's called the Mounting Moments publication. And what that is that I will take all of the stats within the entire Foothill County of all of the different police responses that we responded to within that week, and it's highlighted in a weekly graph. And within that, it's broken down with the greater Foothills rural county area. It's broken down Turner Valley, Black Diamond, Longview as well. And that gives residents within the greater Foothills County area an idea of the types of complaints or investigations that the Rcmp are responding to within that week. And then it's further broken down within the towns within the Foothills County. The second part of that publication that I worked on and what I'm doing is if there's key investigations or investigations that I think are important for the public to know. I've highlighted them in that section. If we have ongoing investigations where we're looking for the public's help or information, I've highlighted it in there. If we have certain areas, there are certain scenarios going on. I know in one of the previous 2 weeks, I know that we had a number of break and enters to commercial areas. One, I believe, was on Turner Valley, and the other one was over in the High River area. And those are open investigations that we're seeking help or assistance from the public. So I wanted to get that out to the public so that if they had seen anything or heard anything, that they could definitely know who to contact and forward that information to. The third little part of that now to moment publication, because I wanted to have that kind of one-on-one interaction with residents if possible, is we've created a direct link to myself through an independent email address. So if residents or anyone has any questions in relation to policing or any other questions or concerns, they're able to email me directly within that link. And then my goal, once I start to get some individuals messaging me, is to highlight either their question or their concern within the following week's publication, answering their policing questions. And then I'm hoping that that'll bridge a little bit of that police presence within the community. Now, I know that I have had a few people reach out on that email telling me that they are happy with the Mountain Moments publication. And so I'm quite happy with the response that we've gotten to that. Of course, I'm always looking at ways to improve it, ways to increase that communication with the community. And so I'm always open to questions or suggestions as that moves forward. I know at one point there was a concern with the Turner Valley administration in relation to this Mountain Moments publication. One of the publications I did had released the name of an individual who was charged and or facing charges in relation to drug trafficking. And what I will explain to council is the only time I would ever release an individual's name in relation to any police investigation is once an information is sworn. So when a formal charge has been laid against an individual and an information is sworn and or approved through the court, that information then becomes public knowledge. So I think there was a bit of a FOIP concern in relation to accountability for the release of that name. And I can tell you that it would have no direct bearing on council or the community. It would be the Rcmp releasing that information. And under law, like I say, once an information is sworn, anything in relation to that charge is public knowledge. So I don't know, I'm sure that council and that may have further questions, and I welcome those questions and we'll answer those as we move forward. That is kind of everything that I have at this point from the Foothills County policing side of it. I can open it up for questions now and then go in a little bit into the section that Inspector Shardlow is going to speak with, if that meets council's approval.
All right, excellent. Let me just scroll across and see if we have questions from council first in regards to the presentation. Councillor Hamilton, you can lead us off.
Hi, I just have a quick comment, and actually it's more for administration. I'm just wondering if we could get the capture program maybe out in our next monthly utility mailing so that the community is aware that the Rcmp are looking for kind of camera registry for any private cameras they might have.
Do you want me to respond?
No, I think that's fine. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. And it's the program. I just was introduced to it on Thursday, so thank Mary Crane for that, and thank Laura for bringing that forward. And yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, I just actually made a note here, Councillor Hamilton, to put it in the mayor's newsletter, which is going out on the 12th, and I have to have that written for 10th, I think. So yeah, so anyway, I've got 4 days to have that written, so I'm going to put it in there as well. Councillor Deputy Mayor Gordon.
Yeah, thank you, Staff Sergeant, for your report. I'm not sure if the question I have will be discussed in more detail with the information you have from Inspector Shardlow, but I'm wondering if you can answer this for me. With the shared service policing model that we now have, where the several detachments work together, what, if any, concerns have there been with multiple responses? So, for instance, your staff in Turner Valley COVID to come in from Privis. What concerns have there been, and have you identified those?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I know that in the early stages, actually, Inspector Shardlow, are you on the line? Okay, so now I'm putting on my white shirt. That's and don't tell Inspector Shardlow. I can tell you it's the beginning of the pilot project when we were first rolling it out. I mean, we didn't really know exactly what to expect when it started. So we looked at our resources that we had and we broke it down into zone policing based on that. Now, we are just over pretty much almost a year and a half in now, and I'll tell you a couple of things. Since we started the pilot project and through the Alberta Provincial Policing funding models, last year we received two additional rural policing resources that were brought into our policing model. And then again this year already, we've actually received an additional resource on the rural side for policing. So we've actually gained 3 more provincial policing members for the entire rural Foothills County area. So that has helped a great deal. But what we do is the way our schedules and everything are set up, our areas are broken down by zone. So all of the traditional provincially funded positions from Okotoks and High River, for lack of a better way to put it, would have been pulled together to police the rural side of what used to be or would have been the Okotoks High River rural areas. The current members that Turner Valley had, because Turner Valley's contract is entirely provincial, stay on the Turner Valley side. So if we had members in the traditional Turner Valley area, which is now Zone 2, there would always still be provincial bodies in Zone 1, which is Okotoks and High River. So the likelihood of a member from Turner Valley having to go down into the far southeast corner of the High River zone is quite low, because we ensure that we have coverage in each zone on each side. Now, that being said, I mean, if we run into a high response incident or something like that, bodies are going to be pulled to that high incident. And then, of course, we would have someone responding from the other zone to cover that other call off. I don't have any stats to tell you how often that happens, but the way the model is set up is we have resources on each side and in each zone to respond. And those additional 3 resources that we have received through the Alberta Provincial Funding Model has only enhanced our response to those 2 zones. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. Council, scrolling, having a look here at you. Any questions? Okay, if you want to continue with Inspector Shardlow's portion for just a quick overview, that would be
Absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely. So pretty much where we're at now, and because we've been running this quote-unquote pilot project for just over a year, we're looking at finalizing it and making it more of a what's the word I'm thinking of? More of a permanent thing. So really where we're at with this now is it's all internal with the Rcmp under our occupational strategies branch, where, because the way we're currently aligned, the rural bodies from Okotoks and High River have just been, for lack of a better term, seconded into the Turner Valley organizational chart. And we're looking for support from the communities and from the councils that they support the project to move it forward, to move it into more of a permanent role. So what that would be, and I know that I forwarded a copy of a support letter that was written by the Village of Linden. The Turner Valley Okotoks High River amalgamation pilot was not and is not the only pilot that was running within the division, and actually probably within a lot of different areas in Alberta, to see the feasibility of doing more of its own policing. And I know that the areas of Beisker and Linden was another such project that was running around the same time that we were. And what I'm looking for from council here today as well, if council supports this initiative and moving it forward, we would be requesting a letter of support from the town of Turner Valley, which we can then forward up to districts to make this more of a permanent thing. So what that would do is eventually our structure management would change, whereas the positions that were just originally seconded to Turner Valley would now become a permanent position. It would be I don't know what name they're going to use. I've been calling it the Foothills County Rcmp. I can't see that it would change much from that, but it would move it more into a permanent structuring. So with council then is if you do support the pilot and you see the benefits of it, then I would be seeking a letter of support from council to move the pilot to the next phase.
Excellent. Okay, I've got Councillor Deputy Report here. So he's got another question. And then any other councillors? Wilkie. Okay, so we'll go Gordon, then Wilkie.
Yeah, thanks again for that, Staff Sergeant. The question I have from a amalgamated police department or detachment, how is that going to work from a perspective of recruitment? And what I mean by that is if I were a Rcmp officer looking to come to Turner Valley, I'm not sure I'd be too keen on serving in Okotoks and High River. They're quite different communities. Is there been any current challenges with recruitment with this being foreseen?
We haven't had any issues with recruitment at this point. I can say with the Rcmp that when you sign the dotted line that you're going to serve the Rcmp, you enter into an agreement that you would serve anywhere in Canada. I know that, originally prior, when members were looking for transfers or were transferred, say, to the traditional Okotoks, High River, or Turner Valley detachment, that there was, I guess, the underlying knowledge that you would be serving or working in those communities. When we move this into more of a permanent scenario, when members are looking to transfer into this area, they will have the realization that they will be, if they go into the rural side or into a rural position, that they would be working in the greater Foothills County rural area. So they would know that that is where they're transferring into. I don't foresee it as being a recruitment issue. Like I said, I haven't ran into that, but the knowledge would be there from the member transferring in that their policing expectations or their primary role would be policing the rural area of the greater Foothills County.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I've got Councillor Wilkie, then Councillor Hamilton. Councillor Wilkie?
Yeah, so I guess I'm just trying to understand exactly how this works. So it's essentially it would be that those rural members would now be officially based out of the Turner Valley detachment. Is that what I'm hearing correctly? Or permanently?
That's always $1 million question, right? I mean, is the Turner Valley detachment big enough to house, I think we're going to be looking at 19 or 20 members all said and done? No. Does that mean we're pulling members out of Turner Valley? Absolutely not. The way we're working right now is, I think eventually what will happen is there will probably be 2 starting points. So there will probably still be Turner Valley as a starting point, or this is where you have your locker, this is where your uniform is, that kind of scenario. Your car is and where you start from. And the same as Okotoks would probably be the 2. But they wouldn't be working in the community of Okotoks. They would be working in the Foothills County. So those logistical pieces I really can't speak to, and that would be something that we can definitely invite Inspector Shardlow to again to speak to some of that logistical stuff. But I can guarantee you that no one is leaving, that the Turner Valley Detachment is not leaving.
Okay. I guess my follow-up to that then is the way that I kind of view that, I guess, would be extra members at least coming here to get their car or their locker. It's additional police presence in Turner Valley to some extent or another. Is that a fair characterization?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you're always going to have, I mean, what do we have now? We've got 7, 9, 12. You have 12 members that their starting point is in Turner Valley right now, right? And that isn't going to change. I mean, we have members that come over from the Okotoks High River or Zone 1 of the Foothills County into the Turner Valley area all the time. So in a lot of ways, we're getting increased police presence in Turner Valley and through the whole corridor over to the Okotoks High River side and vice versa.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Does that answer your question, I hope?
It does, yeah. I mean, it sounded like a pretty sweet deal. They're not going to be policing Turner Valley necessarily, but if they're based here, it's police presence here, and that's visibility and all of those things that come along with it. So, no, that's helpful. Thank you.
Okay.
There you go. And Councillor Hamilton, you're up.
Hi, thank you. I just wanted to get clarification on the 3 new positions. I know that boots on the ground was a #1 priority when this new pilot program came out, and there was promises that it would equate, the new program would equate to more officers, and it sounds like that is the case. There's 3 new positions. I'm just wondering, those 3 new positions, are those all rural, or are any of them like local to Turner Valley? Or I guess the better question is, have we received any more boots on the ground in our area since the inception of this pilot program?
In the previous Turner Valley area, no. What has happened is through the Alberta Provincial Policing Funding Model, and Inspector Shardlow would be able to answer how they came up with the numbers and how these positions were identified. I don't have the knowledge base on. But based on whatever their criteria is or their formulas were, there were 2 additional rural positions that were identified that met the criteria for the Okotoks, for the traditional Okotoks detachment. And then, one was Okotoks and one was High River last year, based on their criteria. Then this year, another rural position was identified in the Okotoks area. The benefit to Turner Valley, though, through this greater Foothills County policing model, is that it's the greater Foothills County police or unit, our unit, that drives the benefit of it. So they're all rural positions. Their mandate and their priority is for rural policing. And that means that ultimately it's an extra resource within the greater area that I have control over that is often brought into the Turner Valley area dependent on investigations or scenarios like that. So Turner Valley itself did not meet the criteria for a provincially funded position through that new policing model directly, but indirectly gets the benefit of it based on whatever their criteria was for those 3 rural positions that were created in Okotoks and High River.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I've got Rav or Cindy or Waring. Any comments? If not, I'll wrap it up. Better support. Yeah, we will. All right, so just to clue off here, and then we're going to address the letter of support, Sergeant. Okay. First of all, I just want to really thank you for getting the capture program up and running. I know it's been a long haul, but I'm so excited to see that this is finally available. It's going to be a huge help to self-empower our residents to make our community safer and to really give some razor teeth to the RCMP through their investigations to persecute any of these fly-by-night guys that want to come in just like they did a few days ago in Black Diamond, made off with a trailer, and then they rustled through a vehicle or two down in Riverwood. You know, if we can catch them on film, there's no chance. They're persecuted, it's done, they're caught, and we feel a lot safer knowing that there's no loophole that they can get out of. So I'm so excited to have that available. So I'll actually plug in my camera now and I'll register, and I'll do a Facebook Live message as well as put that in the mayor's newsletter to help advertise that for our community.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You bet. In regards to the letter of support, I've got Deputy Mayor Gordon here who would like to give us a motion.
Just wait, I understand. Oh, it's down below here on the agenda.
Yeah, no, it's in correspondence. I would speak to it then because the other letters
Okay.
are down in correspondence.
Sure. Okay. Don't worry about that. We're going to address it later in the agenda under correspondence, and then we'll take care of it there. So we don't need to do that motion right now.
Letter of support of what? What?
Of the continuation of the pilot program.
Oh,
That's what she's requesting.
oh, okay.
Similar to the Village of Linden's
Yeah.
letter of support.
That's what she's
Okay.
requesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll make that motion.
Yeah.
I'll make a
Okay.
motion to direct administration to provide the letter of support to amalgamate the Turner Valley, Okotoks, and High River RCMP detachments. That's what you're looking for, right, Staff Sergeant?
Absolutely. Yep. Just the support to move the Foothills County RCMP unit forward for the rural policing. Correct.
Okay, Sarge, did you hear how he worded the motion? Is that going to cover the bases that you're looking for? Just to be clear.
Yeah, I believe that totally covers it. I mean, the letter of support that I forwarded for you from Linden is just an example, and if your council feels the same way, then yeah, that sounds perfect.
Okay, perfect. No, that's what we'll do. We'll vote on this motion, and then if that passes, we'll have administration do up a similar letter, and I'll sign that as mayor on behalf of council. So, perfect.
I appreciate that.
You bet. Any questions?
And then
council? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Sarge.
Sorry, I guess I just have one last question. I know in relation to my Mountie Moments, there was some concern with one of my publications where I had listed or printed an accused name in one of my publications, and I am wondering if council has any further concerns with that, or if this Mountie Moment publication is something that can be put on the Turner Valley webpage moving forward.
You know, one of my favorite sayings my dad raised us 4 boys with when we were little hellions is, don't do the crime if you can't do the time. So if you don't want your name in lights for doing idiot stuff, then don't do it. So I got no problem plastering whatever name of whatever individual wants to break the law on our town website. But I'm sure we can accommodate that. I'm going to go to Monique LeBlanc before I call the vote on our motion by Deputy Mayor Gordon. Monique, go ahead. Can't hear you, Monique.
Forgive me. Your Worship and Staff Sergeant Akitt, I wanted to assure you that it is now posted and will continue to be. We have a dedicated page for it at the moment.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I apologize as well if there was any miscommunication or any concerns in relation to FOIP with that moving out. And you have my assurance that the only time I will ever be putting a name is, like I say, once that information is sworn and once it is public information or public domain.
Can I get an amen? Okay. Okay, we're gonna vote, and then I watched a lot of MASH growing up, Staff Sergeant. That's why I'm calling you Sarge. Because I just always wanted to call someone Sarge, you know, I just love it. So, there you go.
I take absolutely no offense to that, Mayor. And just one last thing before I close out is I will have the formal annual performance plan document completed here by the end of this week. And then I will have that forwarded off, and then I can speak further to it if council wishes to do the acknowledgement and consultation piece here at your next council meeting.
Excellent. All right, give me 1 second. Any further questions on the motion made by Councillor Gordon in support of the regional pilot project? Seeing none, all in favor? Hands up. Get it? Please, hands up. It passed. It's good, we're carried. There you go. Excellent, thank you. And with that, Staff Sergeant Akitt, thank you very much for all your dedication to our community. And you are off the hook. You don't have to attend any more of this meeting if you don't want to.
Thank you so much, Mayor. Thank you, Council. You guys have a good night. Take care.
Good night. All right, take care. Thanks. Okay, that's carried. So administration will form up a letter similar to Lyndon's. We'll get the wording correct and I'll sign that on behalf of council. Moving on. Unless there's no questions, good. Bylaw 1116, Dr. Lander Memorial Pools, Venture Bylaw Pales. I'm going to hand this over to, I think it's a good news story. Mr. Patience, you just want to tell us that we paid everyone?
Yeah, this is a fairly simple one. We don't get to do these very often, so this is much better than a borrowing bylaw. This is actually a rescinding of a borrowing bylaw from 2010 that was taken out $300,000 for upgrades to the Dr. Lander Memorial Pool. So that project was paid out in September of 2020, and this is simply a bylaw to rescind the borrowing bylaw that was completed at that time.
Lovely. Can I get a motion to that effect, council?
We have 3 different ones.
I've got Cindy, Councillor Holiday makes the motion. Any questions around that, guys? That's just a good news story. Repeal the bylaw, so we don't have to pay money.
For first reading,
Pardon me?
It's 3 readings.
you have to do
Oh,
4.
sure, okay. So we're gonna take, we're gonna do the 4 readings. So 1, 2, to hear, third, and then to final. So we're gonna take the first one off of Holiday, and let's just find the wording. You wanna just read it out first, Cindy? Because my computer, of course, I'm scrolling forever to find stuff.
Yeah, that council agrees to give first reading to bylaw 21-1116, a bylaw to repeal bylaw 10-993.
Excellent, thank you. Any comments, questions? I see none. All in favor? And that is carried, thank you. Wilkie, go ahead, and then I got Hamilton.
No, I was just going to give you a second reading. If,
Oh yeah, no, that's what I want from you.
Okay. The council gives second reading to bylaw 21-116.
Excellent. Any comments? Seeing none, all in favor, raise them high. Thank you, that is good. Carried.
Lana.
Councillor Hamilton,
And then Rob.
and then Rob. You're to consider third and final.
Consider third, okay, yeah, not to, okay, I will give you the motion that council agrees to consider third reading to rescind bylaw 10-993, which is bylaw 21-1116.
Yep. With Rue, but it's good. Okay, excellent.
Third and final.
We don't need to vote on that. Now we go to Rab for the third and final. Is that correct?
Well, you need to vote on it.
Yeah. Okay. All in favor of Councillor Hamilton?
Yeah, you must have unanimous consent on that one.
Yeah, that's unanimous. There we go. Thank you. That's carried. And Rab, sir, for your favorite.
I'd love to give you a motion for the third and final reading of motion bylaw, 21-116, a bylaw which repeals bylaw 10-993. Third and final reading.
Awesome. Thank you. And all in favor. And that is carried. Thank you. Perfect, guys and gal. councillors. All right, moving on to title, the 2021 tax rate bylaw, second, third, and final reading. Little background information, Mr. Patience, hand it over to you. You can stick handle that to Corinne, and then you can shoot it right back.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, this is, as council is well aware, they've given first reading to this particular bylaw at the April 19th council meeting. This is a tax bylaw to set mill rates for the 2021 taxation year. And I would ask my fine finance officer, Ms. Middleton, if she would care to expand upon that to any degree.
Certainly, CAO Patience. So through the mayor, as indicated, we provided the Finance Advisory Committee with a scenarios analysis on April the 12th, which provided a number of options for the 2021 tax rates to be set. And through that exercise, the Finance Advisory Committee recommended an option whereby there will be a slight increase to the residential rate and the non-residential rate will stay the same. Through that, taking into account that we had a small decrease in the assessed values, we will come out with a small surplus of just under $10,000. So we brought that to council on April the 19th, and we were able to have the first reading of the bylaw, 21-1115. So this evening, administration is recommending that we move forward and we give second reading to the bylaw 21-1115 for the 2021 tax rates, and we agree to give third and final reading to the bylaw as well.
Excellent, thank you. I'll lead off from Deputy Mayor Gordon, and then we will look for some comments from the Finance Committee maybe, and then we'll do some voting. So, Deputy Mayor Gordon.
Yeah, I was ready to get that motion that council agreed to give the second reading to bylaw 21-1115 2021 tax rates. And I thank our Finance Committee for your diligence in reviewing that and making sure we move forward quickly. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Councilor Gordon. Deputy Mayor. Any comments? Looking good. I think everyone's been here and done that when we did our first reading. So if there's no comments, just scrolling. Excellent. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Sorry, my camera's off. I don't know how that happened. All right, perfect. And can I get a motion for third and final? And I've got Cindy, Councillor Holiday. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll give you a motion that council agree to give third and final reading to bylaw 21-1115, our 2021 tax rate.
Oh, thank you. $10,000 surplus. Boy, we're in the money. I love it. Didn't get a rise. I got a rise on a wrap. There you go. Lana smiled. Okay, I'm doing a good job. Okay, you all pat yourselves on the back. We saved the taxpayer money. Okay, if there's no comment, we'll leave my shenanigans out. We'll call the vote. All in favor? Excellent. That's carried, and that one's off the books. Good job. All right, guys. Perfect. Let me scroll ahead. Business Development Permit Decision Special Event under Direct Control Bylaw 1910-96. Mr. Patience.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is the first of two development permit applications, both under the Direct Control District. The first one is a special event permit application under Direct Control Bylaw 1910-96 for a special event to be held in September of 2021 for an Oktoberfest event. So I would, as council is the development authority on all direct control applications, council will have to adjudicate this request, and I would ask my planning manager, Michelle, if she would provide any expanded details on this particular application and be prepared to answer any questions council may have.
Excellent. Thank you. Mr. Lett, did you want to expand on anything now, or see if we have any comments from council first?
Thank you, Mayor Crane. There really isn't a lot more to add to what CAO Patience has outlined unless there are questions for this application.
Okay, excellent. I'll bring it to council then. Council, if I could get a motion. Councillor Hamilton, go ahead.
I'm very excited about community events, and I hope that in September this one can happen, and I would be happy to give you the motion that council approves the development permit special event under the direct control bylaw 19-1096 with the conditions as presented. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. I've got Deputy Mayor Gordon Waring. Did you want to talk in favor first, and then I'll go to Deputy Mayor?
No, I was going to give the motion, but that's fine. I'm fully in favor.
Excellent. Deputy Mayor Gordon?
Yeah, I really want to commend administration for their support of this. A couple of things that I really love about it, in fact, the main thing I love about it is the collaboration among businesses to support this. You'll notice that the event will actually be held on the reclaimed land in behind Eau Claire, owned by David Farron and Margaret McKenzie, working together in collaboration with Yokin to put this on. And, you know, there's a great vibe in the community right now. A lot of businesses working together to support one another. And the more we can do to support that as an administration, as a council, I think we would be wise to move forward and really encourage this collaboration. I love it. And thank you, Councillor Hamilton, for making that motion. I fully support it.
Absolutely. Any further comments? I got Wilkie. Go ahead.
Yeah, I won't beat it to death, but I look forward to raising a stein with a few of you and Mr. Farr. They've got alcohol free and the alternative, which I'll be having. So fully supportive and looking forward to this.
Oh, that's funny. That's good. Councillor Rapp.
I love the sound of this. I've always wanted to do Oktoberfest, and German origin. I have yet to make it Germany, but I will someday if COVID's ever over. But in the interim, I'd be glad to make some FAR beer. It sounds great to me. And I like to second what Deputy Mayor Gordon says. It's nice to see all the businesses working together. That's a great deal. Super.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm totally on board with Councillor Hamilton on this one. Like, fingers crossed, knock on wood, throw some salt over the shoulder, go find a rainbow. We need to have some special events, and I really look forward to this one. I hope it's all wrapped up by the time we get there. And maybe we'll get some more stuff in August. So, seeing no more comments, Cindy's good, okay, good. All in favor of the motion? Excellent, thank you very much. Perfect. Mr. Lett, that was an easy one for you. Maybe you'll get a question on the next one. Here we go. Okay, let me roll up here. Special events, that's that one. Councillor Gordon, you have it in front of you. You want to just roll on? Municipal Department Circulation.
Yeah, this is the development permit decision for the accessory building under direct control bylaw DC-1. And there is an attached planning staff report here. So perhaps Ms. Willette would want to speak to this in greater detail. It does appear to be private use, if I'm not mistaken, for a detached structure on a property down off of North Royal Lake. So, Mr. Patient?
I think you just totally stole all my thunder there. That's perfectly fine. Yeah, no, this is for a post-frame shop building on a private property. 1,344 square feet, and again, as I mentioned previously, this is in a property that is under direct control districting. As such, council is the development authority in this particular case. As you so eloquently bestowed, there is a staff report attached to this particular application, so I'm sure Ms. Willette would be happy to answer any detailed questions council may have on this application.
Excellent. Thank you, and thank you for the lead on that.
Councilor Waring.
Okay, I've got Councilor Waring, Councilor Wilkie, and Deputy Mayor Gordon. So let's start off with Waring.
Yeah, I got two questions. First one, I was surprised to see this was a direct control, and I wondered why. Must be very pre our time. And the other question is this not in the floodplain, therefore construction is, I thought, not permitted?
Okay, good question, because that was, I think, the same catch that both of us were thinking. Ms. Ouellette, over to you.
Thank you, Mayor Crane and Council. This direct control is predating myself as well, and there's just a note on our sheet that it's from 1997. It's kind of an interesting one. I think the only purpose of this is to limit the number of residential lots, not units, but lots, to 6, and then go ahead and follow the RR1 and the R1 district for the uses and the regulations. So this is for Dingman, not down on the floodplain, which is that North Royalite you're thinking of, but on Dingman, sort of a rural residential piece of the town. And I don't have any history on the reason for the direct control. So this resident would like to do an accessory building for a shop, garage, and they would have to comply with the R1 setbacks and side yards for the placement of the structure. There's a small variance for height. This is a 22-foot height versus 20-foot. And we are recommending that that variance be granted because it really doesn't affect any of the surrounding properties. And it measures to the tip of the peak on the building, which is not typical in my experience. Normally height is measured to the halfway point up the slope of the roof line and not to the top. So that's about it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So that was Waring. Then we had Wilkie. Well, Waring has a follow-up. Okay, go ahead, Waring.
Too many mice here. Thank you. Appreciate the explanation of the direct control and also about the floodplain. I'm surprised it's not in the floodplain because I know the area very well, but that's fine. Thank you. The only other concern I would have down there is the pipeline for the sewer, which is a very tender situation and keeps breaking in that area. And looking at the size of those buildings, I'm wondering what size of transportation will be going in and out of there, how regularly, and whether or not they will be crossing the sewer pipeline.
Anything on that one, Ms. Ouellette?
Yes, Mayor Crane, Councillor Waring, for your question. The pipeline for the sanitary is further to the north from Dingman. So my expectation is that the person goes in and out of Dingman without crossing any sanitary sewer lines. I do understand that down on North Royalite, there has been some issues with that line, but in this case, there wouldn't really be a necessity to cross it. I can't say whether or not they would. And this building to me is a personal, backyard kind of a shop. I wouldn't suggest there's heavy duty vehicles, to my knowledge, going to be using the roads, but we'll see.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. We are going to go off to Wilkie, then Deputy Mayor Gordon.
John already asked my questions for me, so thank you.
Okay, I'll go to Councillor Rob, and then
That's a first, Wilkie.
good one. Go ahead, Rob.
Thank you. You did say it was direct control, so I think I understand that MPC would not have seen this, correct? Because it's direct control, correct? Michelle?
Councillor Rob, that is correct. The direct control is directed to council as the decision maker on these permits.
I think Councillor Waring makes a real good point, though, about that sewer. That sewer line has been problematic for us, so that might be something to talk to the owner about before he brings it. Because even if they come in with a vehicle down the hill and turn at the end, that could be problematic. So good catch, Councillor Waring.
Okay. Mr. Let, is Scott the property owner who's also on the call here?
Yes, we did ask the owner to attend for the purposes of questions.
Excellent. Scott, I'd love to just ask you, just to clarify any concerns from Councillor Waring, what is the plan for traffic and machinery that might be going in or out, or is it strictly just a nice big man shop?
It's just a nice big man shop.
That's a perfect description, eh?
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, it's just going to be personal vehicles and motorbikes.
Excellent. That's what I like to hear. Perfect. Okay, thank you, Scott. I'm going to go to Deputy Mayor Gordon.
Yeah, it's a question I have for administration here. One of the concerns brought forward by our Public Works regards this heavy road traffic. And there needs to be a road haulage permit in place prior to commencing of heavy truck use. How does that work under direct control?
The direct, Michelle, you correct me if I'm wrong here, if you would, Mr. Mayor. The zoning really has no influence on the loading of the streets. Those are completely separate issues. I am wondering if that particular lane or road has any weight restrictions on it, if there's a longstanding concern about heavy equipment utilizing it. So I'm not familiar with the area myself, so I'm throwing that out. Michelle.
There's actually a notice at the beginning of Royalite that says no heavy vehicles allowed through Royalite without a permit.
Okay. Okay. And is Scott aware of that, Michelle?
Yeah, he's still on.
Yeah,
so
he's Scott there.
As I say, the only heavy equipment at that point would be the construction of.
That's correct.
And usually those guys stick to a pretty, but even then, it's not a huge shop in terms of weight load. Yeah. So I wouldn't be concerned. But Michelle, you can definitely look into that. But I don't see a problem with that weight load at all.
Michelle, if I might, Michelle, do you understand what the question is in this regard? That there's help me out with
it's the prerequisite.
Heavy duty vehicles are not permitted down Royalite. There's a sign at the beginning of Royalite saying that, and they're supposed to check with the town before they go in.
Okay.
Yes, CAO patients, if I might. Normally, if there are heavy or larger vehicles using our roadways, we get Craig to issue a permit for hauling. And if it's too much and too heavy and the wrong time of the year, he will not allow for any heavy vehicle usage on certain roadways.
Perfect.
Thank you. Councillor Robb, will you wrap up?
My question is for Scott. First of all, thanks very much for attending the meeting, Scott. I appreciate that. I will be.
You bet.
I'll have no trouble supporting this, but there are a few conditions to concern ourselves. Were you how long have you owned that property? Were you the owner in 2013? In other words, is flood an issue there, as Councillor Waring asks?
I'm not the owner. I'm just a builder of the shop.
Okay.
These guys just bought it beginning of this year, so they haven't lived there through anything. But as far as I know, talking to other people that live down there, that area didn't flood, but lower down below flooded.
That's what I thought. Thank you very much. That's the clarity I needed.
Yeah, but they've changed the floodplain map, and I wondered if that was involved now.
Yeah, I'm looking at it online right now. Kingman closes and isn't in the floodplain.
We're going to go to Ms. Goulet.
Thank you, Mayor Crane.
Use your phone for me, please. That'd be great.
When we look at our GIS and the town floodplain and floodway and flood fringe, the Dingman Close area is outside of that floodway flood fringe. So I reviewed that at the time of the development permit, and we didn't have any concerns with that, and that's why there's no conditions related to.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay. We have a motion, or I think Deputy Mayor Gordon's going to give me the motion. Oh, Cindy. Hold on. We'll let Cindy go first, and then we'll go to you. Okay, Cindy, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to make the motion for you that we approve the development permit. So the council approved the development permit 09-21D for accessory building under direct control bylaw DC-1 with conditions as presented. So fully support this. My only concern is if it's a man cave like my husband's, it'll be full really quick. So you might have wanted to build bigger.
Yeah, I'm gonna need a mezzanine. That's why it's 22 feet. You gotta have a mezzanine.
Hey, you need that
They can't even defend themselves.
Right. All right, let me have a look here. Scrolling. I don't see anyone. Okay, all in favor? And that's carried. Thank you very much. All right, what do we got next on our agenda here? We have the Blooming and Turner Valley. Well, I believe Councillor Gordon, this was your one, but we're going to go to Monique and she'll give us a rundown, Mr. Patience. Is that right? Over to you.
That's correct. I first want to thank Michelle for her input into that last one. I appreciate that. So yes, this is a program that's 1 year old, as I understand it. So, and yes, Councillor Gordon obviously had some input into this program. So, Blooming and Turner Valley competition, and Ms. Willette has put an RFD together for you. What did I say? Now I'm giving her too much credit. So my apologies. My apologies, Monique. So LeBlanc has put this together. So yeah, considering I just fumbled the crap out of that, I'm just going to pass this over to Monique to provide some explanation, if you would. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you. Monique, over to you.
Thank you, CEO Patience. No need to apologize, and thank you, Your Worship. As you'll recall, last year we ran the first Blooming Turner Valley competition. It was very well participated in, and it was a means by which we could help to encourage Turner Valley residents to participate in something that was fun and wasn't too much effort, although gardening for some, especially me, can be quite a challenge, but nevertheless, there was some great enthusiasm around it, and it was really meant to lift spirits and just encourage community pride. And I think on all of those aspects, it was successful. People showed lots of appreciation and fun as we worked through some of the projects. I am bringing it forward to Council for consideration again this year. It was successful. I think that in light of the COVID restrictions continuing the way that they are, and in the absence of any events at the moment or on the near horizon, I would suggest that we go forward with this, and administration would put it together. We're certainly open to any tweaking of last year's model that it was based on, so that perhaps it expands a little bit more. But the 5 categories that had been selected, I still think work with potentially earlier start and a little bit more promotion may be able to attract more participants. The investment is low, and it would come from the community support grant in the amount of $600. There would be potentially some additional paid advertising, although that's unlikely, but I see the maximum amount, which could come, that other portion could come out of the community events funds that are not being used at the moment to be able to help promote. So the total investment from the fund would be $600. And I put it forward for any questions.
Excellent. Thank you. Councillor Rab, go ahead.
I would be pleased to make motion option 1A, that council approve the Blooming Turner Valley contest framework as presented and allocate a maximum $600 for that.
I like how you said that. I almost don't think anyone's going to say anything because they're just so supportive. Any comments? Scroll across here. Looks good. And seeing none, I'm going to call the vote. Oh, Waring, go ahead.
I'd just like to point out we would have won last year, but a deer came by and ate all our plants.
Yes.
We'll try for an honorable mention this time.
Yeah, we should have a disaster relief gardening program as well.
I was gonna say that should be a category for next year. The best garden that a deer has ruined, because there'd be a lot of it.
Totally. Councillor Hamilton, did you want to comment? Or you're ready to vote?
I didn't think that councillors were allowed to compete. How come John got to put his garden in?
Oh, conflict of interest, pecuniary.
I wasn't going to say the word, but yes.
I lied about my name.
He entered his wife's name. That's totally legit. Okay, all right, there we go. All in favor? Excellent, that's fantastic. I look forward to the phone interview with Western Wheel on that one.
Now, there is a second option here, Mayor Crane.
Yep.
Option one.
Yeah, we're going to roll on them all.
Sorry?
We're going to roll on them all. Keep going.
That council appoint 3 members to serve as contest judges and work with administrative staff to review submissions and select contest winners. I'd like to make that motion and speak against it, please. And the reason I like to speak against it, clearly, I always thought council were pretty good judges of Christmas lights and gardens, but clearly, Miss LeBlanc thinks we should skid us as judges, so I'm quite concerned.
Oh, too good.
Councillor Gordon, what do you think? Councillor Gordon, it was your idea. What do you think about that? Getting skidded?
Yeah, we'll leave it up to him. Deputy Mayor?
To be honest with you, I think it's safe to assume with our council, we can get at least 3 of us to agree.
All right, who wants to be?
Which 3 though is the question?
Go ahead, Weary.
Yeah, I'll volunteer to be on the committee.
Good. Select 2 more.
Well,
you're now ahead of the committee. Pick 2 more.
Well, I was going to say Jonathan because it was his idea, but I'll leave it up to somebody else to volunteer. I'm only volunteering because I've got time.
You and Gordon, and now we need 1 more. Rab clearly said he's not involved, but I think Lana's smiling quite adamantly, so I think you better select Lana.
Okay. Lana.
Under the bus, Lana, under the bus.
Well, I mean, she can come and check on the deer as well, so that's okay.
There you go. Okay, so we got Hamilton, Waring, and Gordon will be the judges. Public be warned. You'll have to curry favor with them now for the judges.
I like Steve T from Tim Hortons.
And,
yeah. Motion forward.
The motion has been made. Just going to scroll once, twice, all in favor. Put the appointments in place. Perfect. Thank you, Lana, for voting for yourself. That's right.
I did have a question.
Yes, go ahead. Your camera's not on, Cindy.
I was just wondering. Yeah, my internet's frozen.
Okay.
I did want to ask what the rules are going to. Wondering about the rules on past winners, whether they can become like 2-time winners or if they're not allowed to enter this year, or how that works.
I want them to try to defend their championship.
You didn't just let the Chicago Bulls walk away with the trophy. You had to take them out, right? Guaranteed.
All right. Yeah, just maybe make that clear.
Okay.
Yeah, my only recommendation is to make that clear. Yeah.
Absolutely. There you go. We like that. Let's start some rivalry.
Defend your title.
Yeah.
So previous losers can lose again.
That's right.
I'm sorry, I missed. Excuse me. Thank you, Your Worship. I missed a portion of that comment. It was to allow or not to allow past winners to compete. To allow.
Yeah. Even you should phone last year's winners and say, by the way, we expect you to put up.
Yeah, we defend your title.
Defend the title. Okay. Moving on in the agenda. That one's carried. Or did we have a third motion we needed to make here? Yeah, that was it. The appointment was done. Okay, good. Grant support for the community garden project. I believe it's straight.
We're going to do the school.
That one's going to come up next.
Yeah. So
Ms. LeBlanc, you want to run through the community garden project, please, right quick?
Certainly, thank you. The highlights I'm sorry, was there a question prior to that? Okay. Thank you, Mayor Crane. So the highlights are such that at the last council meeting, council approved the use of public lands for the development of a community garden. That started things off in terms of being able to assemble the people and materials that were required. I just actually spoke with the main organizer today, and on Saturday, I believe that they had nearly 20 volunteers out just to prep the property. So it's, yeah, going along really, really well. There's some great enthusiasm and participation in this project as well. What they're lacking at the moment is some funding to be able to assist with some of the materials to be able to protect it from those nasty deer. Some of it would be the start of the fencing to be able to set that up and essentially identify the space. That's primarily what it would be used for, but and they require more than this, but it's a start. And they're also soliciting donations as well as sponsorship from other organizations, and they're awaiting some funding decisions from some grant coordinators. So I put it forward as part of the Community Support Fund grant, the request of $500 that it be approved.
Excellent, thank you. Can I get a motion for the $500, please? Councillor Waring?
I would be very pleased to give the motion that we give $500 to this very worthwhile project.
Excellent, thank you very much, sir. Any comments on this one? I love the fact 20 volunteers showed up on Saturday. I was working. I was even going to try and slide off and get a day's work in there. But the guy I was working for Saturday was just, he was a driver. Like, I don't know how I even survived, to be honest. Like, he had me down and working. Hey, Brad, what do you think, that guy?
Well, I think he was quite a nice guy. He took it pretty easy on you. If you only did the C's property, I wouldn't have to constantly look at the rain. I'd be done. Thanks, you did a great job. We both would have been there, Jamie, but we had to work on my deck.
We even mentioned we should go volunteer for a bit, but the rain was coming. So, anywho,
I got a comment.
Councillor Gordon's got a comment.
I know. I think we just kind of went through our National Volunteer Week, did we not? We did. And I know the Beavers do a lot of things behind the scenes, and I really just wanted to mention publicly. They've been, his name's on the application here, and his partner was in our meeting there a couple weeks back. And I just appreciate those kind of volunteers that do a lot of things without seeking public acclaim, and the Beavers count for that. So thank you very much, Dr. Beaver and your wife, for the work that you've done in our community.
Absolutely. There we have it. That's a great way to end before the vote. All in favor? And that is carried. Excellent, thank you. 15.5 Community Support Grant for the Oil Fields High School grad project. Can I get a motion for some money? And this is the addition. This is for parents, volunteers. I got Councillor Wilkie. Go ahead.
Sorry, it's in the addition, so I just need to pull that up and make the motion that's listed exactly in the RFD, which was the council approved the Oilfields High School's request for community support grant funding, the Oilfields High School grad project in the amount of $250. I feel tremendously for the kids that are going through this world that we're living in right now, and anything that we can do, I think, to help recognize their effort in a year that's otherwise been awfully challenging for a lot of people. I would love to see their names up on signs. I was actually just going to make a recommendation, and I believe we did this last year, that we also use our community sign as well to kind of recognize the Turner Valley specific grads. It's not a fun time to be either a university student or high school student, so fully supportive of this.
Awesome. Ms. LeBlanc, we'll take comment from you, please.
Thank you, Mayor Crane. I just wanted to assure Councillor Wilkie that indeed that is in the works, and that will also be displayed this year.
Excellent. Councillor Robb.
The way I read that still leaves them in the hole. They're only asking for $250. would we want to consider giving them more? Councillor Wilkie, your motion. So you want to consider that?
I guess they had asked for 250. Minik, is the idea here that they did require additional funds as well, that they are still a shortfall?
Through the mayor, thank you for the question. Indeed, they did not ask for it directly, but from what I could tell on the financial contributions received to date, yet to be confirmed, they certainly are starting from a deficit position. It would be my recommendation to boost that if possible. We currently have the funds.
I'd like to make a friendly amendment to $400.
I was gonna say 5, but it's
that too.
Yeah, I was gonna go to 5, which I think is the cap under the grant there. I'm happy to do that. I'm assuming that they're asking Black Diamond as well. But yeah, I'm happy to amend it to 500.
Cool. All right, let me scroll here. Waring and Lana and Cindy. 6 screens to look at. Okay, excellent. On that note, seeing no further questions or concerns, we definitely want to see as many grads. I'm just going to make a note because I'm going to ask administration to look into it later, that we do have all the grad photos up on our signboard rotating through in the month of June. So that's something I think you did last year. So yeah, just as long as we're doing that again, any amount of recognition we can give these kids in today's environment, we need to do our best to do that. So, okay, all in favor? And that is carried. Excellent, thank you. Thank you for that little amendment, guys.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I have to laugh because actually your administrator actually had her amend the RFD because the letter only said 250. Ms. LeBlanc actually originally requested 500, so I'm very happy that council saw through that and granted those kids the 500.
There you go. I'm going to hand it over to Councillor Gordon again because my computer is froze. So, Councillor Gordon, Deputy Mayor, if you could take us home for the next little bit here.
Next little bit, eh? All right, the next one on our agenda, some correspondence. We've received some information from the Rowan House, the invitation to attend the spring social. This would be held virtually, I believe, and they're really just putting out an invitation for any one of us to participate in their fundraising event that they're having on May 19th. It's a virtual bingo night between 7 and 9 p.m. So I imagine we could receive this for information, perhaps put it in our town's board and let people know that there's a fundraising event going on. As you know, Rowan House, for those of you who are not familiar with Rowan House, they really invest their energy in helping those women primarily with young families that have gone through domestic abuse and different situations like this. So they're doing an excellent job, and just need a motion that from Councillor or from Mayor Crane.
Yep, I'm going to give you a motion to accept this information and to direct administration to post the invitation to our town signboard for public information, as well as our website, obviously, as a link. But I like your idea there that, you know, it's a virtual event.
Yeah.
You could have thousands of people show up and attend. So that'll be my motion. And I speak in favor of that, obviously.
And since I have the gavel, so to speak, Lana, you have a comment, and then Councillor Waring. So we'll go Councillor Hamilton first, and then Councillor Waring.
I just wanted to point out that there's actually 3 events. There's the virtual bingo, there's a drive-in movie in High River, and then there's also a cash raffle. So if you follow the link in there on their ticket, it takes you to all 3. So there's some really great fundraising options that are available during the pandemic. So I thought that was pretty darn creative of the Rowan House during these times, and hopefully lots of people get out and support them.
Excellent. Yeah, thanks for clarifying that. That's very insightful. Awesome. Councillor Waring, you had a comment?
Yeah, exactly what Councillor Hamilton said. I was going
Okay,
to.
that you guys got to pick me up for that. 2 points of agreement tonight between Councillors Waring and Hamilton. I think we're setting records tonight, so that's awesome.
And it beat Wilkie to a question, and that's even better.
I like that one.
All right. So I think that's all for discussion. Thank you for those points of clarification. We'll call for the vote now. All in favor? Excellent, and that's carried. I don't see any issues.
Carry on.
And as we continue, we have 2 different letters. 16.2 is a letter to the Minister of the Justice and Solicitor General regarding the Town of Morinville support for RCMP. It's a letter to the Minister of Justice, I believe, Minister Madu. I would need a motion to accept for information, as we're already following the Town of Linden's letter of support for our RCMP here. Just scrolling around, do we have a motion that we can accept this as information?
I think all 3 of the letters are the same.
So they're all 3 the same. So Councillor Wilkie, would you agree to making a motion for 16.2?
I'm happy to make a motion. I just wanted to clarify, these are different police letters. These are letters in opposition of the Alberta Provincial Police Service as opposed to the RCMP. So yeah, happy to make a motion to accept them as information.
So 16.2, 16.4, all in one motion, Councillor Wilkie?
Yep, that's great.
All right. Any discussion on that? We'll make a, if not, seeing none, all in favor? And that's carried.
I do have a discussion. I didn't quite get a chance there, Deputy Mayor. You know, that's 3 letters from 3 different municipalities all supporting the RCMP. We just had the RCMP in this evening. Is that something we want to consider as well? That we want to, I don't think we have to do it tonight, but maybe that's something we want to do as well, support the RCMP. I think that's the reason we got it, is because they're looking for other supports, you know, for the RCMP as opposed to our own Alberta Police Force. So something to think about.
Yeah, I can take it. Yeah, actually, I wouldn't mind having a quick once across the table for council thoughts on that one. Just to read Morinville's, for example, our council, this is from the mayor and the council, our council is not supportive of the government of Alberta's initiative to replace the RCMP with an Alberta Provincial Police Service, an AA or APPS. Our opinion is that there are other more effective ways to achieve the outcomes identified through the Police Act review. Indeed, improving the public's trust in policing, ensuring an effective complaint process, and improving Indigenous people's relationships are important objectives. However, several considerations that cause justifiable concern are the Fair Deal panel recommends establishing an APPS, despite 65% of respondents indicating non-support. The necessity of a new model is unclear, where there's little substantiated dissatisfaction with the RCMP, but rather some areas for improvement rightfully have been identified. So basically, it's a letter of non-support for a provincial police force. So as a council, we could do the same. How do you feel about that? I'm going to go to Waring, because Waring is staring at me with his microphone ready.
That's because I was asleep. You were reading that letter for so long. Yeah, I personally am not in favour of a provincial police force, but I don't know. Yeah, if we're going to write letters, I think we need to sort of sit down and think about what we want to put in them and do it all properly rather than make a rash decision at the moment. But yeah, I'm in favour of sending letters.
Deputy Mayor Gordon, and then Rap.
Yeah, I have to concur with Councillor Waring here. I'd like a little bit more, really comprehensive discussion, because I've spent several years in the province of Ontario where they do have the Ontario Provincial Police Force, and it really works well. There seems to be a better autonomy regarding accountability and regarding investigation into potential issues with the police services and how it's handled. It seems to be a little bit it seems to be managed a little bit better from that perspective than having a federal body overseeing our provincial services. So I like to really get a little bit more background before I could put my weight behind anti-provincial policing.
All right, sounds good. Councillor Rob, then Wilkie.
Yeah, I don't have enough background to really say. I know the OPP and QPP are fine police forces, but so are the Rcmp. So I can't really speak on being in favor of one or the other. But you know, when you do see 3 letters coming from other municipalities, it makes you think that, hey, what's our position on this? And I'm like, has been said, I think it's too early to make that call right now for me.
Okay. Deputy Wilkie, then Cindy.
Yeah, I concur. I don't know that I have a strong enough position one way or another. I would participate in consultation provincially. It is ultimately their jurisdiction as well. I do support the RCMP. There is a huge local presence with the RCMP, both provincially and locally in our town. I mean, K Division is a huge presence, and they know Alberta well. So I just don't have enough information. That's all.
All right, sounds good. Okay, then I think we'll clue it up there. We've got the motion to accept for information. That's complete. We don't need a follow-up motion, so we'll move on. And moving on to, one second, let me scroll. High River Eastern Slopes Coal Exploration and Public Consultation of the 1976 Coal Development Policy. Need I read this 3-page letter to council? No, Ray? No, Brad? No? All right, good. Then if I can get a motion for information and or action. Roll. Wilkie. Wilkie first. Yeah, go ahead, Wilkie.
I'm happy to accept it for information. I continue to support most of what Mayor Snodgrass is after in the town of High River, and will continue to support and will participate in the consultation, which I recommend that everybody do as well to make sure that the voices are heard here. There is an ask to send a letter to request that all exploration activities on the eastern slopes be ceased pending the outcome of consultation. My challenge with that one has always been that I think that those exploration activities were passed under the previous set of regulations. So I don't know that I know enough today to write that letter, but it's something that I'd consider bringing forward in future council meetings as well.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Rudd.
Councillor Wilkie said it well. I can't really add much to it, except to say I really commend Mayor Snodgrass and his council for being passionate about this. And I think it's really important that we are passionate about this, because it is our water resource, and anybody that sits on Shruck realizes how significant and important that is. So, you know, I really like to commend the Town of High River Council for speaking up so loudly and so clearly to government. I really appreciate that. And I'd be glad to support him any way I can.
Okay, excellent, thank you. Okay, we have a motion to accept for information at this point. Seeing no further debate. All in favor? And that's carried, thank you. All right. Minutes. We have the minutes for the Shruck. Can I get, as we go down here, if I can just get everyone to, if you're sitting on them, slap up a motion to accept and speak to it, and away we go. All right. Shruck. Waring.
Yeah, the February meeting. I don't know if anybody's got any questions. There's been a problem, as you most probably all aware, in the fact that they couldn't get water out of the river because of the ice conditions. we did bring it up at the last meeting and discuss it, and they're going to talk to MP, the engineers, to look at the possibility of maybe trying to do something with the riverbed, some form of weir type, possibly, structure to increase the water depth in the area where we're taking the direct intake from. As usual, it'll take about 50 years to get it done, but hopefully by then, because we're getting less and less water, and we're getting more and more people and businesses, so we've got to do something about it. Apart from that, everything else is working okay. Just looking through the minutes quickly, they did present the emergency plan and those type of things that they've gone to come back to the next meeting. But yeah, no big problems with Shrug.
Excellent, thank you. So motion to accept for information. Excellent, thank you. And I've got Lana and Cindy, so we'll go Lana and Cindy.
I just wanted to add quickly that we are on a level 2 water restriction. The well level was below 65% at our last meeting. I'm not sure what it was in February when these minutes were taken, but I did just want to note that they're hoping now that nighttime temperatures have gotten milder, we'll be able to draw from the sheet 24 hours a day, whereas we were only able to do it during daytime hours when it was warmer. So we're hoping we can get the levels up. But I did just want to add that we are on the level 2 water restrictions.
Thank you for that. That being said, Mr. Patience, can we make sure we have that on our signboard as well? Or do we have that up there?
We've never left.
We're always on 2. It's just when we go to 3.
Okay, no, that's good. Councillor Haldane, go ahead.
Yeah, just a couple things. I was happy to see the motion for the reduced testing. Hopefully that goes through. But Lana touched on a little bit, the water reservoir. Can we make sure that we're getting updates if things go bad? Or, if things are good, we'll assume we're not hearing from you, but I don't know if we can have a better process. I kind of feel out of the loop now that I'm not on Shrug on what's happening with the water reservoir, and residents do care. So.
Noted. Go ahead, Councillor Hamilton.
So generally the usage is posted in the minutes of each Shrug meeting, but I can forward those to all of council when they come on email, so you guys don't have to watch for the Shrug schedule if you'd like.
Yeah, there's a delay in minutes usually, so.
Okay, I'll send them out when we get them. I'll send out the package so council can see usually the last 2 pages or something of the package is where the water levels are indicated.
Yeah, it's not necessarily the package. It's just let us know if something's going bad, which I think you would, but just wanted it noted.
Barry, if there is a water problem, normally the CEO advises the 2 CAOs right away, and then the information comes from the CAOs of the 2 towns. It doesn't go via the committee at all. It's direct from Harry to Sean and to Charlene.
Okay, thank you for that. Councillor Rob?
The last I heard at our last meeting, I think, which was in April, our levels are still 70%ish, so they're still critical. And not improving, but as Councillor Hamilton says, hopefully we'll be able to draw more hours a day and get it back up. But the reservoir is low.
Lots of water in the river today, though.
Good.
Yeah, we're going to lose it to sediment, though. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll shut it down to turbidity.
Okay, all in favor? And that's carried. Next, we have IEDC. Councillor Gordon?
Yeah, I'll make the motion that we accept these minutes as presented for information. And speaking to that motion regarding the IEDC minutes, a couple of things I do want council to be aware of, only because it hasn't come to our table yet. You'll notice under old business 4.2, a motion was made by Mark Muller to remind both councils of the importance of sticking to our downtown design guidelines. This is something that really important due to a proposed build in Black Diamond coming in with a franchise. They wanted to make sure that the design guidelines were maintained, especially in the downtown core. And that really is something that is near and dear to the heart of our members at large on the committee. They want to see a consistent guideline being met. And it makes sense. They're concerned about the aesthetic, and they want to make sure that if we do have franchises coming in, that they meet what our intent is, and not necessarily having us bend over backward for us to meet their intent. And then you'll also notice Mark Muller also made the motion 5.3 about the downtown beautification, which we discussed, and to see if we can do that on top of the Sunset Boulevard. So, and then one last point here, the marketing project is up and running with the site. That is, we have that update there on March 24th. And the next thing is our investment guide that we want to move forward on. So that's the update, and I make the motion that we accept for information. Any questions on that?
Brad, your microphone's off. Did you want to say hello? You're good. Okay, all in favor? Fantastic, good. Thank you. That's carried. Okay, West End, Regional Services Sewage Commission, Councilor Rapp.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the minutes from the West End special meeting in December, at which time we talked about our new administration for it was the transition from Lori to our current administration. Black Diamond's doing that, and financing as well. And also we moved our grant. We applied for our RCIP grant for the project. Just FYI.
Excellent. Any questions for Councilor Rapp or Waring on that one? Seeing none. All in favor? Thank you. Parks and Paths, Councilor Holiday, your time to shine.
Well, Councillor Wilkie can jump in anytime too if I forget something. These are our minutes from February. Since then, we've met. We actually just did a tour the other day of Arrowhead Park, which was my first time going down there. And it was actually really way different than I thought, actually, that land. So I think that we're going to have a lot of fun with that project. And I did get an email from our from Miss Waring that she wanted me to bring it to your attention that the Friends Society that's mentioned in these minutes, that has been formally registered, and they obviously are going to be fantastic because they're helping us get some volunteers and some money and help with some planning, and they're super excited about the Arrowhead Park site. And they actually have a plan for Saturday, May 29th and June 5th to start as cleanup days. So they're looking for groups of 10 volunteers in groups each time. I'm not sure how. I guess if they get lots, maybe there'll be more shifts. I'm not sure. But if you're interested in helping clean out, that'd be great. It's not going to be a family cleanup because there's a lot of barbed wire and dangerous things that initially have to get out. So this needs to be an adult heavy work session. So that's also, they've got a Facebook group up and going, and yeah, y'all know how to get a hold of Irene probably if you're interested. So May 29th and June 5th.
May 29th, June 5th.
Yeah, I would Cindy covered the main things. It's a pretty awesome site. I'm not gonna lie. I can see the pump track down there already. So just a minor issue of finding some funding for that. But it's a pretty neat area. Love the community aspect of what this Friends group is going to bring to that area. It's actually in far better shape than I think I expected. I'd been down in that area. There's a couple of areas around there that have a little more garbage around them. There is stuff kicking around down there, and that's what this cleanup is all about. So really excited. We'll make sure we forward that letter from Irene on to everybody on council as well. Just if you want to share it with anybody that you know, that would be great. Try and drum up some support for that work. Be looking forward to it.
Excellent. Councillor Rapp.
Yeah, I was unable to make that little tour down there at 2 o'clock. I had it in my agenda, but I wasn't able to make it. So does that mean I have to come to work if I want to see it? Is that the scoop? Or
You're gonna pull a double shift, Gary. So
or will somebody take me and show me what's happening here someday?
I'll meet you over there anytime you want, Gary. It's actually a pretty cool little walk. So
I would think it would be. I agree with Councillor Holiday that I think it'd be neat to see. And it looked like a nice place. So thank you.
Okay, I got Councillor Waring and then Deputy Mayor.
As a further update, I see that the surveyors have been in and done the survey on the site that Craig said they were going to do. There's nice little painted sticks everywhere. So, yeah. And I have made a request to discuss the land there at our next GPAC meeting. So,
yeah.
Hopefully, it might sound stupid on the face of it, but I think it's a possibility.
No, I'm looking forward to this. Councillor Gordon.
Yeah, I really appreciate the work PRAC has done on this, getting river access. That's been on our radar since our strategic priorities of 2017. Connected to that, but sort of across the river, or pardon me, across the river and across the bridge, is the proposed pathway around the gas plant. There's a little bit of a negative report here received from, I presume, the provincial approval. There's a cost of the trail upgrading has proved to be an obstacle. Is the provincial government, are they seeking us to do more than we want to do? Or why would there be that obstacle involved in that? Are they reluctant to do phasing? I'll ask our members of our committee.
Cindy, you can follow up on that first.
Yeah, we're still waiting to hear back on that. So you guys all saw the cost initially and why we went back for phasing. But yeah, we haven't heard back. That's still to be determined.
Thanks, Cindy. All right.
If I may, according to Richard, they've had to go ahead to do it in phases, which is what we asked for. So you don't have to do everything at once. In the initial meetings we had with them, the main concern was signage and some sort of fencing to prevent people getting down into the river. It's not going to be like a chain link thing. It's going to be maybe a post and rail, something like that. So Craig says he can cut the top down and make it walkable the way it is at the moment. So I guess we're waiting for Richard to come back with what he proposes to do in the first phase and send it to them for approval. I notice nearly every time I'm walking down there that there's somebody walking along it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, thanks, Waring, for that. And Deputy Mayor Gordon has a follow-up for Wilkie.
Yeah, Councillor Wilkie, you mentioned a pump park down in Arrowhead. Is this going to be a natural or is this going to be nice cement?
I like cement that children can just bonk their heads on. No, it's actually, I highly recommend, that's an honest offer for any of the other councillors who weren't able to make it. If you want to go check it out sometime, let me know. There's this nice sort of area right up against the embankment that would be amazing for sort of a natural pump park, which would be phenomenal down there. And, you know, it's lightly treed, like you could have lots of obstacles that they could skewer themselves on. It'd be fantastic. I'm probably making administration panic a little bit, but it literally just jumps out at you when you're down there. So I would expect it would be a natural look. I like it because it's cheaper, and I like it because I like when my kids come home with scuffed up knees and covered in dirt. So that would be my view.
Spoken like a true father of young boys.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I'm thinking we should name it Vladimir's Park or Vladimir's Rolling Hills or something, the way you describe it. Could be good.
We'll get all the metal out of there. That's the important thing. Yeah.
Well, I'm probably going to sign up for the 29th, so I'll let Ms. Waring know that she can throw me at the metal. Okay, we've got a motion to accept for information. We've had lots of debate and lots of questions. Fantastic. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. And that is 97 of 97, which means you are now free to go watch your TV show on Netflix, your favorite. Could be Lucifer, could be Suits. I'm not sure. Could be anything.
Or you can watch the Oilers get their 1 point to get in the playoffs.
Who's got 1 point in the playoffs?
If the Oilers get 1 point tonight against Vancouver, they're definitely in the playoffs.
Oh.
Who watches the Oilers?
Yes.